Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue on our journey of learning just a little bit more of this language a day. Okay, let's see. I'm going to, sorry, a little bit technical issues. So yesterday we talked about 继承人, somebody who continue a bloodline or your school of thoughts and who hold it up, right? Like a baby, right? With the hand holding, and that's the person you're talking about, the heir. And of course, 继承人 is a contemporary Chinese language. It's mostly it's a legal term. It means your heir, like who inherit your wealth. And we have 承上启下. Okay, 承上启下. Okay, we have 上 and 下, easy, right? 承 is the same. So you have this hold. You hold the top, and then you lead the bottom. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, one by one. Same 承, hold. Okay, 上 and 下. Okay, these are very direct, visually easy to understand Chinese concept. I guess for you, main thing is to remember the pronunciation. And then the visually, it totally makes sense. This is 上, this is 下. Okay, 上, 下, both of them are falling tone. And 上 is the same Shanghai. I mean, in the news, we heard it a lot, right? So that's the same 上. And okay, you can see they're kind of mirroring image, right? Here, the horizontal line is the baseline. And if you have something on top of it, standing on top of it, and this little arrow actually was kind of like this, but for the ease of writing, it becomes horizontal, but it kind of have a diagonal line up there, kind of showing the motion, like that's the upward. So the 上 is you have the baseline, you have something on top of it, or you have something moving upward. So it's both static, standing on top of it, or going upward, dynamic. So same as 下, that's your baseline, and then you have something placed, it's statically underneath it, or you have this motion, like going downward. That's the trend, that's the dynamic. I mean, isn't that amazing? This one character visually capture the both top and bottom and upward and downward in English. And here, actually, it's not talking about, well, I guess in a way it is. It talks about generational passing down. So we have been talking a lot about heritage, about inheriting, right? 承上启下, the same idea. You're one of the link of holding whatever passed down to you, either as wealth or school of thoughts or generic or psychological, other kind of conditions, attributes of your previous generation, which is on top of you. Like Chinese would regard that as top, like on over you, above you. So that's your previous generation. Instead of like in a time sequence, right? That in English we have the previous and post, right? That's a pre-post. That's the English concept, but the Chinese, we don't really have this time sequencing concept. Well, we sort of do, but here we use positioning, the top and bottom, to visually place you. Like you're the middle one, the one on top of you or above you are your previous generation, and the one below you are your next generation. Okay, 起 came from this, and it came, well, it's related to this. Okay, in one episode we talk about 门, this concept of two-door panel door framing, right? And here is actually a single panel door. I didn't realize that Chinese actually have two ways of dooring. Okay, so this single shed, I don't know how to say that, but like single door. So one side is attached to the wall, and then the other side is movable, it's open. So that's the door. I guess it's on the left side. So let's see if that actually is different from, okay. Anyways, it's the door that's kind of fixed on the left side, but open on the right side. I guess in certain situations it is. But I just noticed like, oh, actually, in America, doors can be both ways, right? It depends on the positioning of the door. So it could be both left opening on the left side, the knob, or the knob on the right side to open. So here is the left attached, right open door. So it's a door. Originally, it has a hand gesture, 3-finger hand or 5-finger hand next to it. It means open the door. Like a hand next to a door is going to open it. But eventually the hand disappeared. Instead, it's replaced by the mouth. So that means simply by talking, the door open. I don't know, like back then, Chinese already have this sound controlled automated door opening mechanism. I doubt so, but that's what it eventually become. It's still door opening, but it's by speaking. And my interpretation is, okay, this door opening is the same, but by somebody physically opening the door for you, or by somebody talking to you so that you understand something, so that you open the door yourself. It's even a deeper meaning than that, right? So a lot of times we use this qi, it's like inspire somebody just by talking, right? By passing down knowledge or your intellectual understanding of something, and then you inspire somebody else, and that somebody else then is empowered with this new understanding to be able to open the door, right? So that's the kind of door opening. So we have, okay, you hold it, your previous generation's heritage, and then you try to inspire the next generation to lead it to door opening for the next generation. So that's basically the meaning, right? And we can replace the top and bottom with front, and back. I guess front, back, I can flip it. It depends on how you define the front, right? But you can do this horizontally as well. So we sometimes say people front of you, that's your previous generation. People behind you is the next generation. I mean, that makes sense, right? That's also sequentially, like we use this spatial sense of front and back to mean sequentially. You're the middle link, and then people in front of you, previous generation, behind you, back generation, next generation. So I'm placing this visual spatial sense of I have top and down, 上 and 下, and then you have 前 and 后. Either way, the 上, the top above you, and people in front of you are your previous generation, and then people behind you or people below you are your next generation, and you are the 中, like someone right in the middle of the box. You're not to this end or that end. You are the middle link. Okay, so it's, you can either say 承上启下, or you can say 承前启后. Exactly same meaning, just two ways of expressing the previous or next generation in a spatial term. Okay, and together simply means you're the middle link. You link up the previous generation. So you're holding hand with your previous generation. You're the hold, right? Hold that. And then inspire. You're going to kind of hold hand, but eventually let go, right? And inspire them, like by verbally, by your intellectual power, to inspire them to open their own doors for them. So that's a kind of 承上启下. I simply put the artist like a sculpture over here, because this is somebody who does not really born into the family or environment or the previous generation. Like he doesn't really have somebody to hold hand in his life, but somehow he was inspired by this artistry of making 3D sculptures. And he came up with his new things. He has his own input to it. So he made this imagined creatures, and not exactly monsters, but got some combination from different creatures come together. And that's this artist's style, and then eventually it's going to be passed down, like inspire new generations of artists. So artists is a little bit different, I guess. They have inheritance, right? They got inspired by previous artistry, and then they themselves have their own personal stamp, their own personal feature on that, and then they have next generation continuation, their own rendering. It could be like from different perspectives or like have their own personal take, but it could be like streams or styles, right? So that's the kind of linking we're talking about. So every one of us kind of 承上启下, we're holding somebody's ideas, somebody's genes on us, and we are going to inspire, influence, raise the next generation so that they can open their own doors. Okay, cash into currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.